Let's get the party started.
Oh, baby!
When was the last time you shit your pants?
You think I'm a goddamn fool?
I shit my pants last night.
It's a beautiful planet. Well, it's a moon for sure.
I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit. Put that in your package, folks.
What's up, everybody? Josh, Clearing Waivers Podcast, coming at you for another episode of the Clearing Waivers Podcast. We appreciate you joining us for this episode. We hope you're having a great day, a great week, great night, a great month. We are all doing well. Happy to be here. We've got some Royals to talk about per usual, but we've got some different things to talk about, including the debut of a high-level prospect that we're all pretty excited about. Hopefully everybody is still excited about after that performance. Then we've got a previous prospect that seems to be on everybody's mind here lately. We'll also discuss, and we'll take a look at the upcoming schedule to kind of see how we feel about the Royals in the next couple of weeks. But after that, we got some shenanigans per usual. Yeah, let's just get into it here with clearing the waivers.
We're clearing the waivers.
Like I mentioned, there was a debut of a prospect pitcher, one of the core four, handful of high-level pitching prospects they've got coming up through the system. Jackson Kowar was dominating in Omaha for the entire season. Finally got that call I think everybody's been waiting for the last couple of weeks when there was kind of some hesitancy, some uncertainty with this rotation. Finally got a look, and it did not go well. He against the Angels, who are, regularly when they're fully healthy, they're a pretty solid lineup. This is not that case. This lineup he saw was not that great. Still only lasted 2/3 of an inning, giving up 3 hits, 2 walks, no Ks, and 4 earned runs in 39 pitches. So let's start with Kitty. Kitty, where's your head at on this performance?
Oh goodness, it's just depressing every time we get a prospect come up and they just don't get it done. I mean, obviously it's only one start, but it's just expectations are always, anytime you get a guy that is highly touted, your expectations are going to be sky high, which is probably a little bit of fault of our own as fans when we get that high expectation. So when it comes crashing down in 2/3 of an inning, it's really a little tougher to take than when you get some of these mid-level prospects come up. Like, oh, okay, maybe we'll see what happens. But so just a really rough debut.
Yep. Had seemingly very prolific struggles with his control on the evening. Was missing high on his fastball, leaving his changeup up way too much. He's got a great changeup, and that's kind of what his bread and butter is, with a very powerful and high velocity fastball. That's kind of what he was living off of. Just couldn't locate anything. Hopefully that was just the nerves. But Brian, where were you at with this performance at all?
Yeah, I think it's the nerves, and then maybe just a little bit of combination of having that self-doubt a little bit that he's going against Shohei Ohtani. Is my changeup really all it's made out to be? And can I get a 96-mile-an-hour fastball by him? So it's kind of seemed like he was nibbling a little bit, and they kept saying on the broadcast that this guy is a good control pitcher. In the past, the walks haven't been an issue with him, but like you said, control was clearly an issue with him the other night. And I felt like the free bases were a big problem too. And I don't know, I don't get to watch him throw his changeup all that much, except for the highlights on Twitter. But if his changeup is routinely going to be in the ground, I question whether him and Salvi are a great pairing to have out there routinely, because it just seems like Salvi, we love him. We're going to retire his jersey one day, but he loves to backhand those balls in the dirt like he's playing first base rather than sliding over and just using his body to block a ball. And it just seems like too many times the other night they're considered wild pitches because they're in the dirt, but you can also like to see your catcher put his body on the line a little bit more and block those balls so they're not going first and second to second and third. And now you've eliminated the double play possibility. It was just too many of that with free bases, and whether it was a walk and then a wild pitch got him free bases and stuff like that. There really only a couple of hits I remember being like solid, like shit. They hit the ball well there, and you could tell in the post-game press conference with Matheny, he was just kind of upset that they had to pull him just because the pitch count in one inning got so high. They don't feel comfortable with that being healthy long-term. I don't remember that being a concern in the past, but this year they talk about it a lot more. I don't know if that's a Matheny thing rather than the Yost thing or what. I don't remember that being a thing before, having a pitch count in one inning. But I also understand wanting to kind of, baby these young guys and not try to ruin their career before it gets started. So I get it. But at the same time, it's like after they talk about these guys, we saw Lynch come up and get blown up a little bit early. And it's like the difference between when you hear these coaches afterwards are like, the stuff is absolutely good enough. So it's a different vibe than bringing up some of these guys that have good numbers in Omaha. They come up here and then they get bashed and then they get sit back down. And you don't hear the managers say, their stuff's not there. They say they need to clean some stuff up,
Right.
But he has doubled down on both these guys now and say, once they figure this out, they're going to be very good. It's just they got to learn it. They got to take their lumps. So I'm not going to make any rash decisions based on that one start. It sucks, like Kitty said, to see another one of our guys that we've been looking forward to seeing, have rough luck right off the bat.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up because it's not like they're marching out Jake Newberry. They're not marching out Glenn Sparkman, Eric Skoglund, any of these dudes that
Jorge Lopez.
Skogie.
I will not allow you to blaspheme Jorge Lopez on this podcast. He had the best stuff in the organization for how many seasons?
He's great when you play with him on the show, Josh.
100%. I love it. Give me that two-seamer all day with some Jorge Lopez.
Just give you the controls.
You don't hear the same rhetoric from the managers with these quadruple A guys, and I do think that is a belief both in their talent and why we should as fans kind of give them a little bit more leash than some of those other guys, because they do have flashes and obviously they have the gifts on the social medias and such that they are a different pitcher, whether it be an 80 grade changeup or 97 from the left side or just crazy ground ball rates, or whatever, crazy strikeout rates like Bubic. It is just, they are different. They are special. Everybody sees it. Every scout, every person who writes about baseball talk about these 4 or 5 guys that are different. And at this point, we're just going to have to trust that and trust that the management is going to be able to pull that out of them and develop them into the pitchers that they should become. You did mention that you didn't see that many hits that were good contact. There was a lot of tweets floating around being like, go ahead, guys, try to spin this debut into something positive. That's it. There was weak contact. The contact that was made was weak contact. There was Rendon, I believe, was the hardest hit, and it was like a 96 mile an hour or something like that. So there's your silver lining.
Within the same
stayed in the strike zone and got contact, it was weak contact.
And within the same at bats of Rendon, there were a couple just nasty changeups that kind of had Rendon on his heels and barely got contact on him. And he had him fooled a few times. He just got just enough of it and then got one lined up.
And then there was that
Rendon's
after
a great hitter,
after one of the wild pitches, there was a ground ball to Witt, which would have been a double play.
Yes.
Had there not been the wild pitch right before that. So he could have he would have got out of the first and possibly would have seen him go to get 3 or 4 innings under his belt the first game if he could have.
The narrative might be different after that.
Yeah.
And I will go ahead.
This was one of those starts I think you had mentioned before that some of these guys come out and go, I don't remember anything from that start.
Yeah.
This might be one of those where he was so adrenaline junkied up and didn't know what he's not going to even hardly remember what happened for these 39 pitches. So might be a blessing in disguise sort of thing.
And I was curious too, back to my point about Salvi's backhand of are there numbers to kind of support this? Cause it's just like you watch it with your eyes and you're like, are someone charting this online and stuff? So it's hard to just say these numbers of wild pitches, they're usually attributed to the pitcher at all times, like we said. But when I look at the percentages this year, if I say wild pitches per inning, Cam Gallagher's at 3.3% of his innings pitch. He's allowing a wild pitch. Salvi's at 8.4%. wild pitches per innings pitched, and they both Salvi has 1 pass ball, Cam's 0. I'm not saying Cam Gallagher's that much of a superior defensive catcher, but it's just something to think about, I think, or consider. If he's going to be throwing that many balls in the dirt on the regular, we may have to think about those being Salvi's off days.
Well, that kind of plays into the control, though, because
Yes.
if you say you want a low changeup, and with his changeup, maybe Salvi hasn't caught him that much. Maybe he's not used to seeing an 80-grade changeup that often because it just doesn't exist out there. But if you call for an 80-grade low changeup and he is wild and it skips and jumps and runs off of the plate and runs behind you, that's not necessarily on Salvi at that point. There's too many variables that goes into that to be able to be like, well, Salvi's not going to be able to catch Kowar. Cam Gallagher, which probably is a better defensive catcher at this point, maybe not as good of an arm, but as far as blocking, as far as framing, I mean, I think that's pretty safe to say that Gallagher's is probably a little bit superior to Salvi in those situations. But at the same time, Salvi is a gold glover, platinum glover for a reason. He may be past those days, but he's still very, very competent. So I still would believe, his defense is going to be fine with Kowar down there once they get familiar with each other. Once Kowar starts locating a little bit better, gets those nerves out, I think it'll be fine for that duo. But there's a lot to balance any given plate appearance. So it is what it is type of thing. So
I think that's totally fair, and control is going to be a huge issue there. I'm just saying they're clearly giving Salvi off days, especially coming off that injury. So maybe just consider that as a factor in when those days shall be, because they've already announced their probable starters coming up, and they are definitely giving Kowar another shot against Oakland.
Which takes us right to the next point. Where do we go from here as a fan base? Where does Kowar go from here as a pitcher? Where does the team go from a roster standpoint? Kitty, where do we go from here? He's obviously probably going to get another start, but what are you going to be looking for here?
I expect him to probably be with, as we're sitting here, as we mentioned a couple times previous weeks, that we're in that 5-man rotation basically to the All-Star break based on how few off days are coming up for the next
if not
30
6.
days.
Yeah.
So I figure he's here to the All-Star break, and I assume the team may have already told him that, and so he's this point just get ready for that next start and come out a little better. I mean, the one thing I know, that dude's he's a tall, skinny guy.
Mm-hmm.
Needs to get in the gym, get that ass a little bigger, get those glutes going.
He's no Giordano Ventura. He's still got a little bit more meat than Giordano did. But
get those haunches ready, man. You got to build up that ass. Build up that ass.
Everybody knows the fastball velo comes from that ass.
It sure does, man. Get those hips rotating through.
Oh God, we're so stupid. Brian, what are you looking for coming up here for Jackson Kowar?
I think you still give him starts until at least Duffy's back, or if you determine that Lynch has kind of figured out his stuff, because at the end of the day, Lynch has got a higher projection than Kowar. Yep. And you kind of like the other 4 guys in the rotation that are kind of set in stone right now. And maybe eventually Minor gets pushed to the pin or something like that. But other than that, you like having Keller, Bubich, Singer are pretty much locked in as 3 there. And then if Duffy's back, you kind of like to see him in there as well. So it becomes a situation where there's not enough spots to give all these guys starts after a while. So when Duffy's healthy, I wonder if Kowar, goes back down. But in the meantime, you've got to keep giving him a shot. And I don't want them to give up his spot to Irvin or Bolaños or anything like that. I want him to keep getting a shot and hopefully, kind of build some confidence going forward.
Yeah. I mean, like we kind of touched on it. They brought him up for a reason. And that reason is because they think that he's ready. They don't think that he's going to be able to learn any more from AAA. He's shown that he is absolutely dominant at Omaha. So yeah, he's going to get another start. We've talked about it, covered it. Kind of seems like hopefully he'll be here to stay. And Katie brought up a good point. Hopefully they told him that he's going to be here till the All-Star break, till they're forced to make a decision. And even then, I don't know if they're forced to make a decision. If they're all on pitch counts, they're all kind of worried about those arms, and why not go to a 6-man rotation? There's plenty of room, plenty of innings for everybody at that point. I'm fine with that. We as a fan base need to be patient. There's a lot of eggs in this prospect wave. We've been here. We've sat here and watched these guys cut teeth before, and it worked out. These guys are no different. They're in a tough game. We saw another article today saying that there's even a wider difference between AAA and the big leagues at this point than there were just last year, the year before. It's just getting wider and wider. So it's just going to be tough to go through it, stick with the patience, stick with these guys, stop doubting, their actual talent, stop doubting any of this stuff for now. It's fair to criticize, it's fair to question, it's fair to be curious about this stuff, but just don't get too down on this. Don't start writing guys off. I started looking into this. Obviously, 39 pitches from Jackson Kowar, not enough for a sample size to write somebody off. 3 starts from Daniel Lynch, not enough to write somebody off. 14 starts from Bubic, getting closer to a normal rookie season over the last 2 seasons, still not enough. But even his numbers are still pretty solid for a average rookie season from any pitcher. Singer is just now at 24 starts, and he's a pretty decent sample size for a whole entire rookie season. And he is about where you would want an average starting pitcher to be. You're usually around 4.30 ERA, a 1.3 WHIP, somewhere in that ballpark. You got a little bit of an average start of a rookie starting pitcher. So he's right there. If that's what we're looking for. And Singer, kind of coming up, they all thought that he had the highest floor but the lowest ceiling of all these dudes. And if Singer is right there where he should be at average, then I'm fine with it. If you're looking at him as being like your 4 or your 5 guy, that's an absolute alpha on that mound every any given night, then that's what you're getting. That's what you're getting right now. And that's a full sample size from Brady Singer. So love it or hate it, where the progress is a whole other conversation that we could definitely have. But at this point, we need to stick with these guys. And I know we're all excited about the prospects, but we just need to chill, be patient, let them do their thing, let them cut their teeth, and we'll see where we are at the end of the year with it. So,
yeah, I think too, we talk about, keep pitching these guys at Omaha. It's kind of like, what more do they have to show you at the Omaha level? They're, like you said, Kolar's dominating them, and then he comes up in majors and struggles immediately. It's almost good to come up, even if we're talking about 3 starts that he gets before a Duffy or a Lynch is ready to pitch again. He gets to see what his stuff looks like against major league pitchers. And if he does go back to Omaha, he knows that I can't get away with this pitch that I got away with dominating these fools here. Like, he threw a couple of change-ups outside on Ohtani last night that tempted him, but he laid off. And the guys in Omaha are probably swinging at those pitches, and that's why, he's been mowing them down. So I think it's just learning what his stuff looks like against the best in the world. It helps a lot more development wise of if he does go back to Omaha eventually, and there's more spots for him up here, he has a better idea of what his pitches need to look like, what his repeated delivery needs to be like. I mean, it's just a whole different game. I think it was going around Twitter today that there's people who are saying that there's never been a bigger gap between the major league level and AAA level that there is right now. And so, I mean, that kind of proves seeing what we've seen from Kowar and Lynch dominate in AAA, and they go up and have struggles immediately in the major league. So it's good to get your feet wet and maybe not get thrown completely in the water. Because I went back and looked at guys like Giolito. There's a commercial going on right now about, 2018, he was the worst pitcher in baseball, had like a 6.13 ERA, 1.48 WHIP, but they just kept trotting him out there. He got 32 starts that year. They just kept saying, keep going out there, figure it out. The next year he got Cy Young votes. So it's like, we can't make any rash judgments, even if it's one bad start. It could be one bad season. Right. Yeah. Max Scherzer didn't come out and start being dominant. Those are both first-round picks. They're not all Jacob deGrom. DeGrom started when he was like 26 and has been pretty much dominant his entire career.
There are exceptions to the rule for sure.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely one of the fallacies of the fan base, myself included, where you just expect every single prospect to be DeGrom level right when they come up. Like, well, it happened for him. Should happen for our guys too.
What's wrong with us?
Yeah.
Why can't we get a DeGrom?
Why can't we develop
19-year-old Juan Soto? No, that's a good point. I mean, that's all part of the process here. We're all here to cut teeth. We're not here. We're here to watch them cut their teeth on the big league, big stage. And that's just where we are. We can't overreact. I know we all get a little amped up. I'm absolutely guilty of it, no doubt. But at this point, I found myself looking at Cal Eldred's Fangraphs page, be like, why, what did you do? What they keep selling me this. No, I'm very much aware and very guilty of outrage myself. So I'm right there with you. But I keep telling myself optimism. Stick with trust the process. Let these kids develop, and we'll be benefiting from it in no time at all. So, speaking of benefiting in no time at all, Adalberto Mondesi back on the IL. They put him on the IL retroactively over the weekend. Still with that left hamstring. I didn't hear the leg actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's a hamstring strain. That is kind of an open-ended deadline. Nobody knows really what the timeline is, and I think it's more of a player, pain level type of situation. You want him to be able to do whatever he can do whenever he can do it. So they did put him on the IL over the weekend. Been plenty of outrage led by a certain local radio host that seemed to really fan the flames recently and caused a bunch of, waves and a lot of outrage and a lot of line to be drawn between the Mondesi apologists and the ones coming with their pitchforks and their torches. So why not us talk about it? I guess at this point, no one's asking for our opinion, but here it is. Here it comes. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we are kind of thinking about doing with Adalberto Mondesi. This one's going to be kind of more focused on what we're doing long term, because that's kind of what we've seen him over 4 or 5 seasons, half seasons mostly. Seen his talent level, flashing absolute rare skill sets and stats and doing records and stuff that nobody's ever done. And we also see him be the worst hitter in baseball type of thing. So it's a very wide range of outcomes for Adalberto Mondesi at any given moment. He could be walking down the hallway and has got a huge, wide array of outcomes in him. But Brian, what are you wanting to do, Adalberto Mondesi, long term? What do you think the Royals are going to do? What do you want them to do? Where are you at?
First of all, you said this is a pain level type situation, which it's 100% not with a hamstring. And that's what is kind of most frustrating about watching the fan base talk about, hey, players play through injuries. Why doesn't Mondesi ever play through injury? The hamstring is one where he will tell you he feels fine. He can go sprint around the outfield, and then the trainers will say with a hamstring, wait 5 days and see how it feels then, because it's not a pain thing with the hamstring. Your hamstring can feel fine. You try to press it too soon, you're screwed. It's backwards after that. So both his injuries this year have been that way. The oblique, like he could feel the oblique in his left-hand swing or whatever it was, and not the right-hand swing. So he said, let me swing right-handed. I'll just do that. Like he wanted to play through that oblique, and they were like, no, we cannot rush this type of thing. So that's what sucked about this injury is it's not a pain level thing. They talk about it. They reinforce that to the media over and over again. Like nobody wants to play more right now than Mondesi.
Right.
He wants to play more than you want him to play. So back off this guy not being tough enough or any of that bullshit. Like that's a tired ass storyline.
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to go full Petro on you. I did not mean for that transition to take place.
That being said, give him 10 years and $200 million. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not ready to talk extensions really, unless he wants to give us a deal, because base it on his actual performance and numbers through the years. He would have to give us a pretty good deal, because we'd love to talk up his potential. The Royals, nobody's more excited than Dayton Moore about what this guy can do eventually. He just hasn't done it yet. So when you talk about extensions, it's usually based off what you've done, a combination of what you've done, what you think you can do. You add in all these injuries, it's just impossible to talk about extension numbers right now, I think, from both sides. So you still got him under control through 2023. He'll be 27 years old. I mean, that's the crazy thing. He's still 25 years old this year. So all of the potential still there. If he could put it together, if he can stay healthy, then in 2023, hopefully we're talking about a real extension and have some good numbers to go off of. But right now you cannot have those conversations.
But the thing about that is we've had 4.5 seasons of a sample size to be like, okay, we know what you're capable of doing, kind of.
Yep.
So it does beg the question, and I do think it's a fair question to be like, what is the value of that moving forward? And like you're kind of pointing at, it's impossible to say. You're kind of breaking new ground here in the fact that you have talent or past record aside, he shows the peak of superstardom.
Mhm.
He shows the ceiling of MVP level talent. That is not consistent by any means. Potentially one of the most inconsistent people the Royals fans have ever seen
Yep.
on that level. They've never had a player since George Brett, Carlos Beltran type of level to where he's flashed that much talent when he's healthy, when he's right, when all things are clicking. They have not seen, it's maybe 2 or 3 players they've ever seen in a Royal franchise to have that kind of flash.
Mhm.
So it's very hard to tell where we should be thinking this should be going. Like you said, both sides very lost on both of these cases. So you're right. No extension talks on either side are going to be wanted. I don't think, because nobody has any kind of basis to go off of at that point. So I think that's perfectly fair. Kitty, what do you want to see happening here?
Yeah, if they're going to extend him, do it now. Do
Yeah.
it as soon as possible, because I think you could basically lowball him, and if you do, you could lowball him with a bunch of escalator clauses based on performance.
Yep.
Which I think would be pretty much the best for both sides, because at that point, because if he's as good as he has shown, you put those bonuses in or escalator clauses in his contract, and all of a sudden he's making 12 to 15 million per year instead of the base salary of a 4 or 5 that you might work on an extension with him at. So if you're going to do it, it really feels like sooner's better than later, and maybe only try to buy out 2 years of free agency. Don't get too deep in the weeds on him.
And I'm fine if they make that like an option,
or option years as well.
Mutual option, yeah. I mean,
Mutual
always an
options are
option.
always,
yeah,
yeah, it's true.
I'm fine
Yeah.
with doing the mutual option for 2 years of free agency and give them, on those, get them a good amount of money. Like we talked to Luis Robert deal the other day. It was like $20 million options. Fuck, let's do that.
I mean, yeah, because like you said, he came in, played for 2 weeks, and was already the number 3 or 4 offensive player in WAR. So he was already just dominating just the 2 weeks he was in or whatever it was. So he seems to be in that 5 baseline of 4 WAR per season. If he plays all year just as an average player, then he can easily get up to 7 or 8 if he's having that ceiling type of year. So it could very easily be a good deal for both clubs for mutual options for the free agency years.
Yeah. I was dicking around on Spot Track tonight, or it was today actually, that fair market value for Mondesi right now, Brian, I think I told you it was 6 years, 105 million. I think is what it is, with a $17 million annual value. So it's no secret. Everybody kind of sees the talent level in him. So it's not going to be a discount. His agent is very aware that, his talent level is what it is. It's just the track record, which is no secret either. So I don't think, Brian and I talked about it, I don't think either one of us are on a mission to go sign that deal right now, but I'd be completely fine talking extension to him right now because of everything we've already talked about. And I feel like you got Bobby Witt, you've got Whit Merrifield for a couple more seasons. You've got Nicky Lopez, that's a solid defender, shown competence at the plate. I feel like there is a rotation that we could figure out to make sure that Mondesi's in the lineup in the defense maybe every 2 out of 3 days. And then once Santana's contract kind of falls off, him and Salvi kind of rotate in the DH position every now and then. You could probably do that as early as next season with Soler falling off the books. I feel like there are ways to not to invest in Mondesi and extension talks like that, and also structure it in a way to where you're also protecting him as well. You're giving him an off day, and this is coming from a completely dumb person when it comes to like behind the curtain health talk. So maybe it'll be more detrimental if he's sitting every 3rd day or whatever. But
I ain't giving him extension and have him DH, Josh.
see,
He is not a DH.
why not? Why not? I understand that
his defense is too valuable, even if
It
you
is
turn him into
valuable.
a center fielder.
But what does it matter if you keep his bat in the lineup 1 every 3 days and you're still keeping him healthy for a 162 game season?
There's no promises you're doing that.
Well, sure. But you know that what you're doing right now, expecting him to be an everyday player, also not working.
Those past injuries don't predict what he's going to get injured tomorrow.
The best indicator of future events is past, Brian.
Nope.
That's how this works. That's
Nope.
how we're all. You don't have this many injuries without having injuries in the future. That does not happen. Period.
Nope. He'll be fine.
All right. Brian's ready to sign him 5 years.
He's ready. He's ready to go. He's got the
$117 million.
17 per. He's ready.
I will close it out on this here. Over the past 4 seasons, there are 2 players that carry at least a 180 ISO and 100 stolen bases over the last 4 seasons. Mondesi and Trey Turner. There are completely different players as far as where their value lies, because Trey Turner, it hits 300 plus every year. He hits for power. He steals bags, period. He plays shortstop as well. Mondesi hits for power, hits for excellent speed, obviously, but his defense is way more valuable than Trey Turner's is. Trey Turner hits for more average at that point, so you kind of have a evening out of that. So Trey Turner is going to be a free agent before Mondesi, and so we can kind of see what that market is going to be. But that's kind of what we're looking at. Trey Turner is always in the conversation of one of the best players in baseball, especially if you're a fantasy baseball player, because he's always one of the top picks. He's a category filler on the offensive side. So I feel like he is a similar value to Mondesi, or what he can be. Mondesi is like 4 years younger than him at the moment, I think. So it's going to be very interesting to kind of see how that moves forward. But I think right now, we all talked about it, there's no reason to make a decision on this yet, unless Mondesi wants to give the Royals a hell of a discount. He wants to be a Royal. He loves it being a Royal. He loves the organization, apparently. So maybe he's interested in that. But at this point, we don't have to make a decision. Royals should make a decision. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll see Mondesi back. We're going to kind of take a look at the upcoming schedule over the next couple of weeks. I will say that we were one of the only ones to kind of talk about this week scheduled over this hot run for the Royals. So I am excited to do this. Look forward at the next 2 weeks. We're basically going to look and kind of preview and look at what our expectations are going to be with the Royals going to be after that first Boston Red Sox series. I think it's a home series there at the end of the month here. Basically, they have 2 more against the Angels, which Chris Bubich has 1 out in the first inning, 35 pitch. Right now, it's 2-0 Angels. Shohei Ohtani hit a ball that is absolutely destroyed, and they're down 2-0 in the first. So Chris Bubich also struggling against this hot Angels team, apparently.
Yeah, they're the world beaters.
They are a frisky group, those Angels. But they've got 2 more in Anaheim, including tonight's game. Then they go to Oakland for 4 games, back home against Detroit for 3, and then the Red Sox come to town for 3. Kitty, where are you thinking they're going to be in this run overall?
So, yeah, they're 29-29 going into tonight's game 2 with the Angels. I kind of not a big don't think this road trip's going to turn out as great as I hope. I'm figuring split with the last 2 with the Angels, possibly 1-3 against Oakland, hopefully 2-1 against Detroit, and then maybe 1-2 against Boston, who's playing well right now. So I had them at 34-36 after this 2-week stretch. So they're just hanging on, trying to just hovering around 500, which I kind of think is the pretty good rest of the season model too for them, as far as what I see. Just hovering around 500, just being competitive, but not having enough to really just put on a big win streak like they did back in that 2014 when they went like 19-4 off the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So I'm just not seeing that level yet, but I think they're right around that 500 for most of the season, if not all the way to the end.
Sure. I have the exact outcome, and for the exact same reasons. So right there with you. Very, very
Nice.
good stuff there. I think that that these 2 weeks largely depend on Soler and Dozier. Dozier went 3 for 4 last night with a double, maybe breaking out a little bit. And it only takes one, like I tweeted this, it only takes one aggressive, no doubt dinger from Soler to get me right back on the train. So hopefully he's coming out of it. He did follow it up in the 7th inning with an absolute lost plate appearance in 3 pitches. So he may have just gotten into one and felt really good about it. But I think it's going to largely depend on what Soler and Dozier do. I think that those 2, if they get right, they can carry an offense. Soler sometimes can do it by himself, but Dozier getting right and hitting extra base hits, mixed in with Benny, mixed in with Carlos Santana, mixed in with Whit Merrifield seems to be breaking out a little bit. So I think this offense is going to need to be back and running and humming on all cylinders a little bit in order for this road trip to go a little bit better than what we're kind of thinking about being 5-7 on that stretch. But Brian, where are you at?
I want to be more optimistic, but I'm kind of right there with you guys a little bit. I think somehow in these next 12 games, they're probably right in the same exact spot they are right now. I think they go 6-6. I think you hope that you can split that 4-game series in Oakland. The Red Sox come to town. They're a good team. Detroit, you hope they take care of business like they're supposed to against bad teams. But being that it's a road trip, I think you have to take that into account. So I wanted to be optimistic and say it's going to be a winning 12 games, but I think we'll be right there, 500 still at the end of this 2 weeks.
I looked a little bit further ahead after the All-Star break. It's pretty soft there running up to the All-Star break, and then from the All-Star break to the trade deadline, I think is fairly soft. But after that trade deadline, that schedule is brutal for a month. So if they're going to get their wins, they're going to get into contention, it's going to be over the next 6 to 7 weeks. That's when you're going to have to see it. They're going to have to kick it into gear and get some momentum to going into the post trade deadline move. I don't expect them to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline as far as big moves to be made. But at the same time, you'd always, that's usually where you really start to draw a line as to what this season's going to be. So not necessarily going to be indicative about, what the Royals are going to do, but it is going to be interesting to see where they are when they hit that really, really tough stretch. So let's see how that goes. I do love how I sprung this show sheet topic was the next 2 weeks, and I threw that future schedule right on top of you guys.
I mean, and the crazy part is being at 29 and 29, you look at what's happened with the offense, and you've had 2.5 good bats for the first 58 games, and you've had 1.5 good starters. Bullpen arms have shown up. So, I mean, to be where they're at, and they're just, I feel like most of the team is performing under expectations as well.
That's fair. Yeah.
So that feels kind of like a slight disappointment, but also then you're kind of optimistic. Like, well, what if these guys actually showed up? Some of these guys that we were counting on, if they had shown up the first 58, 60 games here, this Royals team could be good 7 or 8 wins better than they are right now. So
speaking of
kind
showing
of
up,
surprising.
Optimistic, Kitty show up tonight?
He did.
He may have. I guess
guys.
he got all his anger out. He got all his anger out last night and ripping Kowar a new one.
He's feeling those strongly worded text messages to the group chat for
that
sure.
He'll never see.
No, he is feeling that today. Trust me. Well, that's going to close out Clearing the Waivers here. I do think that we're going to get a good glimpse of what the Royals season is going to look like over the next, like I said, 2 to 6 weeks. Great point, Josh. Over the next, quarter of the season, we're going to get a real good feeling about what the Royals are going to be. But I do think that through this stretch, it's going to be a do or die situation. They seem to love to play to the level of their opponents. So hopefully they can kind of snap out and start beating the bad teams and doing what they're continuing to do with against the good teams. So
no, Josh, this team is going to accelerate. We're going up.
Okay.
We're just like what Kitty said. If you look up and down this roster, you look disappointment, on par, disappointment, maybe a little bit above where they're supposed to be. Disappointment. It's like this team is going to start clicking on all cylinders. I know we've heard about it for 60 games now, but I think they will start clicking on all cylinders. I think this pitching staff is better than they've shown. I think this lineup is better than they've shown, and we're still looking at a 29-29 record. I mean, we should be shooting off fireworks because this has been a disappointing team, and it's still 500. It's still competitive. It's right in the place they wanted to be to get Mondesi back, hopefully get Hunter Dozier going, get Soler going. You're talking about maybe having Bobby Witt Jr. play a third base for you in the second half of the year. Maybe Lynch starts clicking and becomes a dominant pitcher on this team. I know it's easy to look at that schedule and say those teams are all playoff teams and we're in big trouble. maybe they're in big trouble. Maybe we're getting hot at the right time. This is a team that endured an 11-game losing streak and is still looking at a 500 record. And this is not a team that had expectations coming in the year. We looked at this team. Vegas win total was what, 71, 72, 73 maybe?
Yep.
We're looking 500 right in the eye and saying this team has way more potential than they've shown us, even if you look at just the players on this roster right now. This team can easily be 85, 86 was what we talked about as being super optimistic at the beginning of the year. We sounded like lunatics.
Yep.
And when you look at this team right now and you give all these individuals grade cards, they're all not passing, but yet as a team, we're still right there at water levels at 500. So I'm excited about the potential of this team still, maybe more so than I was coming into this year. Because we sounded like crazy people talking about 85 wins. Everyone says they're nuts. That was 14 games above what Vegas says, and we usually listen to what Vegas has to say usually. But in this instant, I feel like our optimism is maybe paying off a little bit. Maybe it was right.
Maybe a little underselling is what I'm hearing too.
That's right. Yep. I think this team could take off in the second half, and I'm ready for it.
After that 11-game skid, they were 13-9, and that included this current third 3-game skid. So 11-6 or 13-6 coming into after that 11-game skid. So you might be right.
I am.
Write that one down.
Let's go.
That's rubber stamp of approval. I am.
I hope you hammered that over, guys.
I dig that. I dig that confidence a lot. That's very good. So we're gonna close out the clearing waivers this week. Get into Shenanigans Waiver Watch Wating Game coming at you here right now.
Waiver Watch Wating Game. Waiver Watch Wating Game.
A little bit different than the Waiver Sharks. We haven't done the waiting game in a little bit. Basically, we've got each one of us has brought to the table some particular movie or show that has a Rotten Tomatoes score. We're usually they're under some kind of theme. I do have a theme for us this week that I'm very happy about. I'm especially mine. I'm very excited about this. We each brought one. Each one of us is going to take a round at trying to guess the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes of that movie or TV show. This usually goes pretty smoothlessly. Smoothlessly?
What?
Smooth.
Did I just make up an awesome word?
Is that a combination of seamlessly and smoothly?
It really was. Smoothlessly.
Okay. Perfect.
Couldn't even begin to define that. That's
Take that dictionary.
Oxymoron. Yeah. Suck it. Suck it, Mr. Webster. Well, we've got movies and shows to kind of roll with, and since there's only 3 of us, usually up to 4, I did get a listener submitted movie that we're going to actually use to kick us off here. But the theme that we're going with is movies or TV shows that we just watched hundreds of times as a kid. I thought this was going to be a fun one just because usually those are just terrible shows that we love, shows or movies that we couldn't get enough of as kids that kind of revisit now and are just absolute trash. But we'll see how it goes here. We're going to start off with the 1990 classic Home Alone, submitted by our buddy Zach Schwartz, formerly of the Heartland Pod, but also of the lead singer of the Hollow Ends.
This is the OG version.
That's right.
Home Alone.
Old Kevin McAllister.
All right, I'm in.
Try to guess the Rotten Tomatoes score of Home Alone.
In.
I'm going to try to...
You can't Google it, Josh.
I'm not. I did Google it, but I haven't clicked on it yet. So we got to have a ruling here. Okay, Brian, you were the first one in. What do you got for your guess?
I think this has to be high. I remember it being universally loved, and even though there's some kind of cheesy lines in there and corny acting, people enjoyed it. It's a Christmas movie. People tend to enjoy Christmas movies, so I'm going to go Michael Irvin, 88.
88. Okay.
I like this.
Kitty,
corny acting talk. But I don't think I've ever. And I guarantee I've never seen my grandfather laugh harder than he was watching this movie. He could not get enough of Kevin McAllister beating those damn wet bandits. He loved it.
Tune into their life, seemingly.
Oh, so good. He loved it. So I'm gonna go with 80. Smoothlessly. 86 for me.
Okay.
Right there.
I may have made a mistake right out of the gate. I think I was rushed. I don't like this. I
You're
think I went
rust.
too low. I was all flustered here. I think I went too low. I need to reset. But I did go with a 71%. I feel like I'm too low on that, but whatever.
You are
My
too
score
low.
now.
And if they agree with you, then they're too low as well.
Okay. Let's see. Can I get a drum roll here?
Critics cannot hate Home Alone. Come on.
Yeah, because it's family friendly, so it's not one where they're gonna have the stick up their butt and being, oh, that's raunchy.
Right.
How dare they? So
Good, clean,
should be
fun
pretty
type
high.
thing. Audience score was an 80%.
That's too low.
You think? Should be an 88% is what it should be.
Should be 88.
Well, the critics thought it was a 67%
God,
Whoa!
because they are soulless.
I hate them.
Wow,
I hate them.
that is a
67?
surprise.
67.
That's barely fresh.
Right.
That is shocking.
Yeah.
What are
that's
we
tough.
doing here?
That's tough. So I guess I'm going to lead off the
Yeah, I guess so.
hour round.
God.
Here. And
You're so excited for. Let's
I'm
do
so
it.
excited for this. Back when I started getting Disney Plus, I saw this movie and I was browsing movies. I saw it on there. I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen that in legitimately 2 decades. You guys are probably not going to know what this is. Brian, you might. I guarantee you've seen this, but I did watch it 1,000 times. The Big Green.
Oh yeah, Josh. I don't know if you remember, but we lived in the same house when we were children. So
Wait, when?
when you watched a movie 1,000 times, I got to watch it 990 times. So
That's not necessarily the truth. We did a lot of things behind, not together.
The Big Green.
The Big Green. It's
Soccer
basically
movie?
the Mighty Ducks on a soccer field.
I
It
thought
had,
you might go Mighty Ducks in this.
Yeah.
Was the kid from the Sandlot in this one?
So
The
it
catcher from the
had
Sandlot?
2 kids from the Sandlot. It had Squints and the catcher. I can't remember his name, but Freckles.
Yeah,
Had
Freckles.
him, Steve Gutenberg in there. Buckwheat from Little Rascals in there. Tackled a lot of topics, including like immigration, racism, goats.
Oh, boy.
It was also thrown in there. So very, very good movie. I had to watch it today just to kind of scratch that itch.
See
It's
if it holds
very
up.
bad. It's really bad. Not good
Yeah,
at all. But
I'm in. I'm
okay.
already in. I've kind of assumed as much.
Brian, are you in?
What
I'm
year
in.
was this one? Just to, do you remember?
Oh,
Did you write that down?
I believe.
Did you write that down?
95.
Okay,
Yeah,
no,
that does
that
take
makes
it. Take it.
that
in
makes perfect sense.
Yep. Right in
for
that
me.
hill. Boy, does it look 1995. I will say, very much 1995. I believe Kitty was in second place. Kitty, what do you have for the Big Green?
So I just assumed it was bad.
Okay.
95, so it was way too late for me to have watched this as a children's movie. So, but I just guessed good old 28.
Mhm.
Ooh, my God.
Curtis Martin.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
what I was thinking. Curtis Martin.
How low did you go?
Jesus. I mean, I should have taken the Home Alone grade into factor here. I mean, it was a stupid kids movie. That's how.
Mhm.
I mean, it accomplished what you're going for. Like you said, teaching life lessons here. Let's say just fresh at 63. And it'll
63.
be like 32.
Well, the audience score, the people that should appreciate it the most, gave it a 46%.
Oh my God.
That was 25,000 plus ratings. So
Can we start over?
pretty
Wow.
good sample size. The critics, granted, there's only 5 reviews.
No, this is not cool. This shouldn't count at all.
Roger Ebert is one of them.
Who cares?
It was
5?
0%. 0.
You can't bring a movie that has 5 critic reviews.
It has a Rotten Tomatoes score, so it is very much in bounds.
This is bullshit. This is under protest.
63, huh? You must have really enjoyed the Big Green, Brian.
Apparently, all those times he had to watch it while you were watching, he really got a kick out of it.
Incredible.
I mean, every movie like that is trash, but I mean, people watch it. It sells a lot of copies. People, I mean, what do you want?
When has that ever affected a critic score? Never. Not ever.
What's the point of them giving a review if there's only 5 of you that are going to give a review in 30 years?
Because they're top reviewers, Brian.
Oh God.
When
Zero.
Roger
I was really
Ebert-
hoping for 20% on that one after said 5 reviews.
Well, since Brian went 63%, it might as well have been 20 because you gained that much ground on him there.
Good
Kitty,
God.
you are currently in second place here. What's your movie or TV show that you watched as a kid? Was it like Chips?
I have to go obviously at least 10 years back from your movie because that's when I was a kid.
Love Boat.
Love Boat.
I went
Wings.
a classic. Are you ripping on Wings? Isn't that old?
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah,
MASH.
there you go. Wings.
We
You know
watched
that- yeah.
Wings reruns at the babysitter.
It's a good babysitter.
Yeah.
Give her a raise.
Yep.
I went with 1985 classic Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, okay.
Paul Rubens before he got caught in the adult theater.
Well, we don't. I mean, he had a
Making
career
some-
post that, so we're
Was
fine.
making great movies back in the 80s.
God, I'm very curious how many people reviewed this one.
I didn't even check.
Didn't he make it? There was a new Pee
Big Top Pee-wee was the second movie. I think they made they made
Yeah.
something recently. I did not watch that recently.
How did he get uncanceled? By the way,
It was far enough back in his past that he could.
he got
I guess he
grandfathered
could.
in.
Yeah, he's okay.
Statute of limitations.
I mean, what else are you supposed to do in an adult theater? That's kind of like I always thought that would be the expectation in one of those movie theaters. I don't know.
I'm in.
Okay.
Ah.
I'm in.
Love this movie. Francis, that evil neighbor. What a jerk. All right. So I think Josh, since his initial guess was so good, he gets to go first.
If I'm not mistaken, this was a Tim Burton film, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Which
So
is
he is
crazy.
never made a low rated movie in all. I don't get his stuff, but people do, and they seem to love it. So I went 76%.
Holy shoot. Wow.
All right.
76.
Yep.
I thought we were going to maybe be in the running for back-to-back zeros.
All right. I think BK is going to go a little bit different than Josh's answer then.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that fun fact from Tim Burton. He didn't. Him and Pee-wee don't add up to me, but whatever. I mean, this feels like any Pee-wee movie is going to be something critics just fart all over and sniff it up and are super happy about it. I went with Troy Aikman 8.
Oh,
Wow. Wow.
Brian is trying to shoot the moon tonight.
I gotta
He's
swing for the
he's gotta
fences
go
now.
big.
The-
Yeah, he's
The
gotta-
big green really got him shook.
Yeah.
All right. So Pee-wee's Big Adventure audience score 79. Almost got that one, Josh.
Yeah.
And you also weren't that far away from the critics with an 87
Holy
for Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Goodness
BK, that
gracious.
might be the biggest miss of all time.
I know. I had an 8 in there, so that's 2.5 point
You
deduction.
would've started with an S though.
2.5 point deduction.
79
Good call.
point
Yeah, that's what we'll start doing from now on. If you get single digits,
One of the
1 through
numbers.
9,
Uh-huh.
and one of the numbers is right, you shoot for the moon and you get one number right. Yeah,
You get to add 2.5 points.
I
Two and a half
I
points
think I've got an all-time high score. in this
Oh
game,
my
so
God.
Let's just
Hey.
move right on past that and go
Yeah,
right
yeah.
into my movie.
Yep.
When Kitty said 1985, I thought for sure he was going to repeat mine.
It's got to be Masters of the Universe.
1985. I didn't realize it was this far ago. Goonies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
19, I mean, it had a lot of staying power. I felt like people were still
Yeah.
watching that for the next 10 years because, I mean, it's every kid's dream to go hunting for pirates' gold and you go on all these adventures and you got mobsters chasing you. Sean Astin, young Josh Brolin. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
it was.
it's very weird to watch that movie nowadays, knowing what you've seen Josh Brolin do through the years. So,
Yep. Thanos coming for that ass.
sure, whatever you say.
It's an Avengers reference. No big
Oh,
deal.
Not sure who
okay.
that. Not sure who that is.
You know damn well who Thanos is.
I prefer not to know. I'm trying to forget who it is.
You've been
Every day.
You've been trying to forget.
Josh working on a record score here.
I'm in.
I am also in.
What you got Goonies at?
I got it's classic. Steven Spielberg, I believe Christopher Columbus as well.
You sure wasn't Tim
produces.
Burton?
It wasn't Tim Burton. I'm pretty sure it was Spielberg and maybe Columbus, but yeah, it's just withstood the test of time. Classic for everyone except my wife.
What?
You watched it together, and she said she did not like it.
Oh my God.
I went with a Terrell Owens 81%.
Okay.
Well, that's a
Kitty.
bad number for me. It's a bad number for me to hear because what Josh has lead on me so far, I believe. I don't think I can do it with my pick. But this is a great movie. I mean, you got the
win.
the brother that they locked away because he was
Sloth.
little just not like them enough. How they just hated a guy for being a little bit different. I mean, that's right there. That's like
Baby Ruth.
talk about that movie. This movie should age perfectly well into this time since he's the hero of the movie. Spoiler alert for all you guys that haven't seen Goonies. But I went with 79.
All right.
Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be tough.
Yep. You're both all around it.
80%.
Critics come in at Josh's previous guess, 76.
Damn.
Audience score, 91.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
audience score, a little lower than I thought it'd be. I thought everyone except your wife loved Goonies.
So apparently there weren't she might be, maybe she's got the a fan club going for anti-Goonies.
Anti-Goonies.
She's got a few people that she can hook up with there.
Yep.
Josh
That's,
finishes with a 20.
Yeah.
4
a good
guesses
score.
and he's off 20.
One of my
That's a good
best
score.
rounds. Well, 3 guesses, but still. Irregardlessly, it was very smoothlessly tonight for me in the waiting game.
Well done.
We did it.
Yeah, you really dominated this. Congratulations.
I'm glad I came up with this game and this.
Yeah, I mean,
for the night.
for the amount of work you put into the other game where Brian and I inevitably only get one guess right, it serves you right to be able to win this one on us.
I got some good karma coming to me. Then,
Exactly.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, that's gonna lead us right into the keep trade cut for the week that we've got here. But first, we got to hit that theme song.
Just keep trade cut, gonna give it to you. It's Tuesday night, we're in the spot. Yeah, don't believe, but just watch.
Fellas, this week I returned to live sporting events. I caught the
Nice.
Friday night Royals game that turned into an absolute shellacking of the Royals opponents. We came in about a little bit late. It was a 3-0 lead while we got in our seats, and they scored 9 runs in that first inning. So it was a good game for the rest of the night. But inevitably, I did get a little bit of the inspiration bug bit me a little bit that night. And basically, I want to keep trade cut the 3 aspects that go to a game. And one's a little bit of a fantasy thing here. But you can either choose between no more lines at the concession stand or the bathrooms or ticketing or whatever. No more lines, period. Or your food and drink is half priced at all times. Or any game that you are in attendance for, your team has spotted 1 run, 1 touchdown, 1 goal, whatever you would like. But your team is spotted and favored that much more when you are in attendance. So we're going to keep trade cut those 3 things this evening. I'm going to lead off because I did have that stellar and MVP performance in the waiting game. I'm going to go ahead and first cut the food and drink is half price option. I obviously don't love that they have the high prices there, but when you go to a game, you kind of accept them. You kind of anticipate them. You tailgate beforehand so you can mitigate any of those costs and cut them as much as you can. So I'm going to cut the food and drink as half priced here. I'm going to trade for your team getting spotted 1 run, 1 touchdown here, because I think it would be awesome at first. It's going to give a lot of trade value, but it's going to become a curse because you're directly affecting the outcome of the game. And if that becomes known, then you will be expected to be at every one of those events moving forward. And there's going to be times where you just can't, or you just don't want to. Those days are going to happen. The team's going to lose. It's going to be your fault. Now you're getting death threats. So it seems it's going to be a curse at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and trade that. And I'm going to trade that for my own personal rocker recliner in any game I do go to. They used to have those fantasy game seat upgrades there at Coffin that had those recliners, or were they recliners? Just really comfy ass chairs. I don't know if they're still there. Do you know if they're still there on the first base side?
I don't think they're
I
recliners.
I don't think the recliners are super comfy. They're big
No.
fluffy chairs.
think they have those chairs at some of the college football teams. I think KU has them basically at one of their end zones. They have all those big ass chairs, but they look very comfortable to watch a game in, like you're in your living room, basically.
They got to get fans in the stands any way they can at that point. Their whole
That's
stadium
true.
will all be recliners at that point just to get their fans in the game.
They've got plenty of room.
Yep.
Oh, burn KU football.
Well, I would like to get a rocker recliner for my game. I don't want to. I know they have the seats right behind home plate and up in the suites. I'm not a Schlansky suite guy, even though they are pretty sweet. But just give me a rocker recliner. That's all I'm asking. Give me my own personal rocker recliner. I don't want to share it with anybody because it's just full of farts and stuff that I don't know. I don't know the source of their farts, but I want my own personal rocker recliner in Coffee Stadium. I feel like that's a pretty simple request.
So they have. Is this a seat where that recliner gets changed in and out between games in case you're not showing up the next game?
No,
they have
they
to
just
bring back out, or
they cannot
just-
allow anybody else to sit in them. Period.
it's under plastic cover, like
Yes.
old grandparents' furniture when you're not
Yes.
there.
Yep, 100%. Yep.
I like it. I'm in.
And that leaves me. I'm gonna keep the no more lines. Friday night was a Buck night. I legitimately stood in line for ice cream. I think for an hour, which is a solid inning of any normal game. If it wasn't a 25 run game, then it's that's a whole hour of game time that I'm not getting back. That's not coming back to me. So I want no lines. Period. Restroom, bars, drinks, whatever. Ticket entry is a big deal. Parking lot entry, no lines. Just I want free entry regardless. No, don't stop wasting my time type of thing.
Fair enough.
Kitty, what's your keep trade cut?
Yeah, I'm keeping the same thing. I thought, I mean, like you said, the one run spotting is nice too, but I'm with no more lines. Because waiting in line for either the bathroom or a food line, miss half an inning to an inning of baseball, just frustrating. And I came out to watch the game, and now I'm stuck in these lines for this long. It's just takes a little bit away from the experience.
Yep.
So I'm with you. No more lines. I'll go to my seat, go from my seat to the bathroom, come back real quick, go get some beer, come back. It'd be great. Really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Food and drink half price. I'm going to cut you as well. I know what I'm getting into with the Royals at the games for the food and drink price, so it's not the worst for me. I'm not going there with a family of 4, so my food expenditure is not as much as some people's, so that's not as a big of an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to trade the one run spotting. I think a lot of people would jump on that one as well. And I'm going to trade that for nothing is ever blocking my field of vision.
Yeah.
There's no tall person in front of me 2 rows up that somehow 7'6" guy came to the game today, and now he's towering way above the seats, and I have to lean every half inning to see the pitches, or someone decides to, it's lightly sprinkling, so they pop open an umbrella. No umbrellas allowed at a baseball game. Bring a poncho. That's your only option.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm still pissed every time umbrellas are allowed at a game. It's just absolutely ridiculousness.
Or a sign.
So,
God forbid someone has a sign.
as long as if you bring a sign and don't hold it up while game action is happening.
Yeah.
I'm
in between innings.
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Between innings, and that's your sign.
In between batters, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, a little bit of that. That's fine. So, but I just want to have a clean look at the action all game.
I think that's fair. Should be too much. Usually it's a kid with a sign, so they don't know any better, but you feel like a dick for suggesting not to do that.
Down in the front.
What you do is you go up about 12 rows, and then you yell, and then you walk around a little bit and come back on your seat. You're those guys yelling back there? Can't believe how rude those guys back there were.
The nerve of those guys.
Oh my, couldn't believe it.
All right, Brian, keep straight cut for the week.
I guess, guys, I am the only true team player. I like
Oh,
to
here
be
we
a
go.
team player here.
No.
I feel obligated to keep. I'm worth spotting my team a run or a touchdown or whatever, because I want my team to win, and I guess you guys don't care about that. You just would rather trade that luxury away to somebody else, possibly an opponent. So I'm going to keep it because I'm all about the team. Team. Oh, and if the team ever gets a wind of I'm worth a run every game, what is that worth to the team?
At least free entry. Yeah.
What are they? I think they make your life a luxury, Josh, and you're not dreading going out there to any games. I would look at it as they're getting me out of any commitment I would ever have to make other than go to watch my team play. I have a commitment to the team. I'm a part of this team.
I feel like it's more of a Superman thing where you have to keep it a secret from everybody for some reason.
Brian 100% develops a Superman complex with that superpower. 100%.
In my mind, I become like popular, like that KC guy that would hold up the stupid sign after wins.
Yep.
I would let people know that we won because of me, not because of you guys that are making millions of dollars. It's because of me. I came to this game again. You got the win by one run because thanks to old number one right here.
Yep.
But that's because I'm a team player.
What jersey number would you request of the team at that point?
I would request no jersey number, Josh, because I don't belong on the field. I'm just here for the team. Team. All of it.
Interesting. Okay.
No number.
I appreciate that you don't feel like you would have an ego after that.
No way. I would just be demanding the ownership gives me millions of dollars.
Right.
Gives me I need a private helicopter to pick me up and take me to every game, so I don't have to worry about those lines like you're talking about, Josh.
Yep. I'm very much looking forward to like the birth of your child being compromised because you have obligations to the team and to the city.
Team, Josh.
Team.
I already have one child. The rest of them don't really matter, right? We see it all the time. These athletes, they always they'll miss a game for their first child. The second child's like, I got one already. I mean, I'll be there.
2-game hit streak intact. I got to keep it going here.
We got an off day in a couple days. I'll be there.
True.
But I got an obligation to this team because I'm team guy.
I like it. Okay.
And so I'm going to cut no more lines. It's not really a big problem for me. I don't feel like the bathroom sometimes can be a problem, but there are so many places at the park where you can buy a beer. They've got those nice little convenience stores now where you're like self-checkout.
Did those actually have beers in them?
Oh, yeah.
I saw those. Nice.
Oh, yeah. They got coolers. You go in there, grab a beer, set it on the thing, like a convenience store, check yourself out. You're good to go.
Man.
So there are way more options now to get a beer. Where if I'm standing in a line with more than two people, I've made a bad choice because there are way better options to buy a beer out
Do
there.
they have ice cream there? Because that's where my long wait came.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
When you try to get into
Belmonte, clean it up.
specialty. You try to
Clean
get
it
into
up,
specialty
Belmonte.
stuff. Yep. And so I'm trading the half price food and drink because, like you said, that's going to come with it. And I'm going to trade that to help me with the lines that I have a problem with. I'm bringing back the piss troughs in the men's bathrooms. That was a horrible, we try to progress as we grow as a society. I feel like we went backwards when we got rid of the troughs in both Arrowhead and Kaufman. I mean, it took you from a boy to a man to stand shoulder to shoulder with a man, and you were trying to not use your peripheral vision, but you had no choice. You had a row full of men side to side peeing in the same trough, and there was hardly ever a line because it's way more efficient than these individual urinals. It's maddening that you stand in line about to pee your pants, and there's a full 2 feet in between urinals. You're like,
that's
I
a
could
person.
be peeing right there.
It's a new level of social distancing.
Bring back the troughs. That's what I'm trading for.
It's where boys become
Oh,
men
God,
and
I
men
love it.
become boys because
That's
they
right,
get
'cause
drunk and go sliding in it. Slip sliding.
Some of those, especially the trough is the shy pissers are not going to be happy with your decision.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they have to wait for
they
the
still got
stalls to open up.
stalls.
They
Yeah,
still got
yeah.
stalls if you want to
Yeah,
act
that's
like
true.
you got to go too.
That's it's equal opportunity there.
That's right.
Well, that's going to do it for the Clear
was-
Waivers podcast this week. Stop talking, Kitty. I'm closing it out. We're done.
Closing it out.
we've talked enough here. These kids, these folks.
Piss
need to-
trough.
Need to go. That home run by Otani went 470 feet. By the way,
Sure did.
it's a long
That's pretty
one.
far.
Stassi just hit another dong, so it's 4-0. Not mad at it, but we do want to thank everybody for listening and joining us this week. Go check out the rest of the Royals review work. They're doing great work covering the Royals. Go check out the Royals Farm Report. They also have a podcast you can enjoy to kind of get up to date on all the farm system, all the prospects and youngsters that we can put a lot of pressure on in their upcoming debuts. We look forward to that, but shout out to them. But we're going to take a little bit of a break. We've got some summer vacations to kind of run through here in the next couple of weeks, so we'll probably take a couple weeks off, probably back on June, what is it, 29? Nope, 22nd, something like that. I
Good
don't
job
know.
preparing, Josh.
Yep. It really got that fun date. 2 weeks, basically. You're going to be without us. Go check out previous episodes of the podcast. Maybe on the other side, we might have the return that we teased a couple weeks ago. We might have that return, which you can kind of look forward to maybe. But go check out some of the previous episodes. That 1 year anniversary was a lot of fun to put together. I'd highly recommend going and checking that out as well. But we did have some great interviews over the last year and a half. Go check those out and see how wrong all of us on that podcast were. A lot of fun to do those, but some of those are time sensitive, some of them are not, but whatever. It's been a lot of fun doing this since we started it. But go follow us on the Clearing Waivers at the social medias and all the platforms that you might have. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel so you're up to date on all the new episodes, and you can see our smiling faces as we do these episodes. But go subscribe to both us on anywhere you get your podcast. Royals Review Radio has all your great coverage for the Royals podcast between us and the Royals Farm Report. So go subscribe to that channel, and you can get our episodes as soon as they drop. But other than that, I think that's all we got. We hope you have a great couple of weeks here. We'll see you on the other side. Ta-ta for now.